We had a chance to catch up earlier today with CBS's NFL analyst Pete Prisco, and he joins us now for the National Perspective, brought to you by Global Transport. All right, Pete, I know you're a big fan of the Browns' new head coach, Kevin Stefanski. Last year, we know didn't go the way we wanted to, but now with Stefanski in charge, what's your outlook for this Browns team in 2020?
I like Kevin Stefanski a lot. I think he's going to bring a discipline that the team needed. I think he's one of those guys, he's into analytics, but that's not who he is. I've told you this before. He's a Philly guy. He's got that Philly edge to him, which you like. And I think he's going to clean up that locker room and bring discipline back to a team that lacked it last year. So first and foremost, I think it's going to be really good for Baker Mayfield. I think that's the relationship, coach, quarterback, that you have to really get through to the quarterback and let him understand that there's a lot more to play in the position than just going out there and throwing the football. So I think Kevin Stefanski can be very good with him.
When you look at this team, you mentioned Baker Mayfield. You look at the offseason, they bring in 2 tackles. They bring in a 2-time Pro Bowl tight end. You've got Chubb and Hunt in the backfield, Odell and Jarvis out wide. It's there for Baker Mayfield. This is a big year for the quarterback in year 3.
No question about it. And all the talk that Baker Mayfield, regressed to the point where can he get it back is way overblown in my mind. Now when you have 2 tackles that are going to be clear upgrades from what they have, that should settle him down and make him better. I don't buy all this talk that, the first year was an aberration and last year was more like who he is. I think it's somewhere probably in between, but he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. And this is the year to show people, hey, look, I've dedicated myself to the craft. I have a new coach that's going to help me, and I'm going to go out there and throw the football around and have some fun.
Defensively, they built it on up front and on the back. And obviously, you got Myles Garrett, you've got Vernon. They bring in Claiborne, the veteran, Sheldon Richardson and Ogunjobi. And then on the back end, bring in a couple of former first-rounders and Kevin Johnson and Carl Joseph. They draft Delpit. But there's a lot of question about the linebackers. And you're somebody who I always love picking your brain about. You were kind of ahead of the curve on running backs. I remember being down there at that Super Bowl with you in New Orleans and just the way that they're viewed in the NFL. Are we seeing something similar happen with kind of that off-ball linebacker position in this league?
Yeah, you still got to have a guy that can, play on first and second down and thump, but he's also got to be able to run. You have to be able to get guys who can cover. And I always go back to Seattle. Bobby Wagner, he's the prototype. Luke Kuechly, when he was in Carolina, they could stay on the field and cover people. You have to have that guy because the game is an air game. It's been spread out. So some people, though, do think that we might start moving more back to the run game because teams have become small and fast on defense, and therefore you can pound them a little bit. And I think that's where that zone scheme comes into play. That's where San Francisco, look what they did to Green Bay last year. Green Bay was a smallish defense and played well during the season and then got to the postseason and they got run on. And I think that's the problem when you have small linebackers and small interior people, that people will pound you a little bit.
Pete, I just want to have you take a step back, look at the whole league. We're talking a lot about the Browns, but this is obviously a very unique offseason. Teams like the Browns with new coaches, new schemes, they've got to get a lot in a very short period of time. What do you see the early season being like around the league this year?
Most people will say that the offenses will be far behind. What I think they'll do is they'll put in about 70% of their playbook instead of putting all of it in, and kind of focus on that. As the season moves along, you might add things and get to it at the end of the year. But I also believe that without tackling in preseason, and some teams are going to tackle in camp, but you can't really learn to be a good tackling team unless you tackle. Sure. And so, there's always this theory early in the season that defenses are sloppy because they don't tackle, and this year will be even worse. So I think what you're going to see, ball out, receiver catch it, big play. I think you're going to see a lot of big plays early in the season, which might mean there might be more scoring, even though traditionally you would say the offenses are behind. You can put in your offenses virtually. You can get to that. And a lot of these teams have put in a lot of the offense. Now they're starting to run it. But learning how to tackle takes angles. You have to understand angles and speed of the game. And for that reason, I think you're going to see ball out, big play, a lot of big runs. I think early in the season, you're going to see a lot of points.
It's a great Pete Prisco, our guest. Thanks so much, Pete.